Hey guys, I don't know if you guys can see me or not. You should see me in a second here. If you don't, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Intellectual Chocolate. This is the podcast for Black people that want to be smart, that want to find solutions, that want to actually elevate the conversation. I'm gonna give you guys a second to come in here uh, while I go ahead and send out a text message and let everybody know that we're live. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late. I got caught up in a conversation with a friend of mine who, an attorney, a very good friend by the name of Demario Solomon Simmons, who was trying to talk me out of my political positions. You know, I told you guys about voting and how I feel about it. I'm not supporting the Democrats or the Republicans. No matter how much they try to scare us, they scare us in every election, and I don't fall for that stuff. I just kind of, you know, I support things that make sense for my community. And so, but I did tell him though, hey, if you have a point of view that, that you'd like to share, to with the people that are on my YouTube channel, I am big on freedom of speech. And I told him, I said, why don't you come on in and you can just kind of give your perspective. I'm not one to tell you that you're wrong. I'm not one to suppress your voice, which makes me better than about 90% of these politicians in Washington, because all they do is they just kind of bully people and try to ridicule anybody that has a different point of view. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big believer that the best way for you to grow as a person is to hear from people who don't see the world the way you do. If all you're doing is you're talking to people who think just like you, then you're not adding much value to the world. You're kind of just regurgitating all the bullshit somebody else might have shoved in your ear. And people today, most people kind of live in these little weird little vacuums where it's like, okay, I'm on a Facebook thread and I'm the only, and all of us believe the same things, and all we do is we say preach amen and blah blah blah, and all the opinions are just alike, just alike, just alike. Well, what you're doing, unfortunately, is you're contributing to the division of this country and to the destruction of this country ultimately, because when you are in a vacuum and all you're hearing are opinions that are just like yours, then what is occurring is you ultimately end up getting to a point where when you leave your vacuum, when you leave your little nest, your little enclave, and you start hearing perspectives that differ from yours, they sound crazy. They sound ridiculous. Like you're like, who in the hell would believe that? Well, I mean, if 20 million people have that opinion, maybe that's worth investigating, right? Maybe that's worth trying to understand, even if you don't agree. But we don't do that. We don't try to understand. We just say, oh, you must be an idiot, or oh, you're stupid. That's why I literally, if you ever want to get banned from my Facebook page and don't want to be there, just come in, and if I say something you don't understand, just come in and say something like, oh God, that was retarded. I can't believe you're a professor. That just sounds stupid. You might get banned, not because I don't like you, but because you're obviously just not intelligent enough to be a part of the conversation. I'm not looking for people that are going to agree with me per se. I'm looking for people that can disagree in a way where you can provide a perspective that adds value. If you can come in and you can say, I hear what you're saying, but here's another point of view, and here's why I think that, then I can respect that. I'll be like, okay, like my boy called me. He's like, hey, Doc, I don't like what you're saying about voting and politics and all that. And I said, well, tell me what you think. We talked it out and had a great conversation. I learned a lot. I was like, okay, so I can see why you see it that way. He's a civil rights attorney. He was talking about the criminal justice issues, the judicial appointments. And I was like, that's a good perspective. And then I said, well, the reason that I can't right now definitely get excited about supporting the Democrats is because the Democrats, unfortunately, one of the things they've done that has bothered me, besides ignoring Black people, we know that's kind of a given. The other thing that's bothered me is they are too closely in line with this crazy Me Too movement, and it bothers me because I'm seeing Black men going to prison and getting arrested in situations where there is no evidence to support a conviction. That bothers me because that is something that the Jews went through when Hitler was in power. This is an extermination program. This is something where the Black male extermination agenda is in full effect, and I'm not going to support any of that. I'm not going to vote for my own extermination. If you're going to exterminate me, you got to come get me kicking and screaming. I'm not going to go along with it. You ever watch a movie? You ever sit there and watch a movie where you see somebody where they stop them, they pull out a gun on them, and they know they're going to get killed, and the person's like, okay, and they're just sitting there like, please don't kill me or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking, if you know they're going to probably shoot you, you should probably fight back anyway. That way they can shoot you while you're fighting as opposed to shooting you because you stood. So they say, turn around so I can put the bullet in your head. No, I'm not going to turn around so I can put a bullet in my head. I'm going to bite you in the nuts. Like, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to try my best to get out of that situation. So at least I can say I tried. I'll arrive at the pearly gates with a gunshot wound to my hand and the side of my head where I was fighting off the gun and fighting off the bullet. And I'll say, I did my best. He got me. He shot me with the gun. I fought him off, but I couldn't win the fight. But at least I tried. I'm not going to arrive to the pearly gates talking about he told me to turn around so I could take a bullet in the head, and I just turned around and took it. Man, I'm not doing that. You're going to kill me anyway. I might as well fight. Anyway, enough of that stupid stuff. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor, take 1 second, please. Stop 1 second what you're doing and hit the thumbs up button so that more people can see this video. Also, I want to remind everybody that tonight, if you're watching this on Saturday, October 27th, tonight I'm going to do my lecture that I've been telling you guys about that I wanted to deliver. And this is something I wanted to do, just generally for the public because I feel like everybody needs to see this. And I want this to kind of be, an event, like a television event, almost like when me and my grandmother and my mother and them got together and watched Roots. We were all sitting on the couch watching Roots, like 8 of us. Like I want you to do this for this particular lecture, because basically what I did was I spent a lot of time in China, and I traveled about 18,000 miles and went to 4 different cities, and I did research on why China has emerged as one of the great economic powerhouses in the world. And what I did was I took those lessons and I flipped them into kind of an instruction manual for Black families in terms of things that you can do in your family that will shift the culture in your family economically, not just now, but for many generations to come. And so anyway, somebody's asking, is it free? Yes, it is free. You can come to this for free. You can go to blackdragonfinance.com. That's blackdragonfinance.com. We already have like a ton of people that have registered. So you probably want to make sure you get there on time, because if they run out of space, we just run out of space. But I'll stream it to social media so you guys can all see it. And also, I hope you'll consider, taking a look at some of the really great programs we have in the Black Business School. We have really great scholars from the Black community who teach Black people how to survive as a Black person economically, how to thrive as a Black person in every area, from law to business to real estate to everything else. It's better than college. The reason it's better than college is because we're teaching you the skills that you don't learn in college, like how to make an investment, how to start a business, how to get involved in real estate. And you're learning from professors that really have actually done it, as opposed to professors who read it in a book, and also professors who care about you because you're Black. We teach you because you're Black. And so the Black Business School is better than that. And let's not even talk about the fact that these white universities charge you, $10,000 for one class, or for $40,000 a year. Most of our programs are less than $100 a month. And these are real college professors. We're not fake. I know we're Black. I know it's hard for you to imagine a Black person being as skilled as a white person. I know some people have a hard time with that, but we are actually better than the white professors that you learn from in college. Dr. Claude Anderson, in fact, is the best professor in America, in my opinion. There's not a professor at Harvard, Yale, Stanford, anywhere that can match up to what Dr. Claude Anderson did with Powernomics in terms of what was done for Black people. I'm not talking about overall scholarship in every other area. I'm talking about for Black people and Black people alone. This contribution of Powernomics was arguably one of the greatest contributions of any Black scholar in the history of this country. Maybe top 5, top 10, right there with Marcus Garvey and all that stuff. So anyway, so feel free to check out the Black Business School. May you pin the information provided. Somebody type it in. I can't pin it because it would require me to use my thumbs to text on the phone on Instagram, and it would just be a big mess because I'm clumsy as hell. But if you hear me mention a URL, if somebody could type it in, I would appreciate that so other people can see it. That way, each one teach one, that kind of thing. All right, so let me go into this. Here's something that I was really angry the other day. You guys might have seen me kind of go off a little bit, and I was going off, about my frustration, with guys like Colin Kaepernick. And I kind of feel bad about it because I like Colin Kaepernick, and some of it I would probably not have said the same way. So I'm going to try to restate it in a way that's not so that's not so ratchet. I kind of want Kaepernick to, I would love for guys like Colin Kaepernick and all the other professional athletes out here that have big platforms. I really hope that they step up and address this issue with the NCAA. it really bothers me that, you have this system, where you've got these unpaid athletes. Many of them have parents and families that are at homes literally starving to death, literally on the verge of being homeless. And they're making millions of dollars for all these coaches and administrators and these universities. And they're not getting very much of that. They're getting a scholarship. Scholarships are free pretty much to give. If you already have a class, if you're already going to teach a class with 50 people in it, it's nothing to add another 5. Right? It doesn't cost you hardly anything. So scholarships, let's get past this notion that scholarships have all this tremendous value and whatever. The reason that we know they don't have tremendous value is because, number one, it's very easy to add more butts and more seats. You say, okay, well, we're already going to be teaching this class, so let's just add 5 more chairs in the room. It doesn't cost the university much anything to do that. But then number two, the way that a scholarship does not equal in value to what the athletes are giving the institution is because if they were equal in value, then you should be able to exchange the two. And, and you should be happy with either one, right? It's like when I was little, my mother used to, when me and my sister would have to share something like a cupcake, what she would do is she had a rule. She said, one of y'all gets to cut it in half. The other one gets to pick which piece that you want, right? Does that make sense? So it's kind of a trick, right? So if you try to cut it where you're going to get the biggest piece, well, guess what? My sister would pick that piece and I'd be like, damn, I should have cut it more fairly, right? So I think that same test should be applied to the NCAA, right? So the NCAA, here you got the athletes who get a scholarship. They get to go to college for free. That's great. That's awesome. Okay, it's cool. You get, that's what's up. You get to go to college, have some fun, drink a little bit, whatever they do in college. They ain't studying like they should. That's why your kids come home stupid from college, some of them. But anyway, but then you got the coaches, right? Coaches, coaches are making, $500,000 a month. They bought him a mansion. He gets, all these other perks, all these bonuses, like you win a bowl game, we give you another $250,000. You have a winning season, we give you $100,000 bonus. You win a championship, we'll give you $300,000. We'll give you a radio deal, all these other, right? So you got the coaches on the other side getting all these financial perks. And now mind you, now pay attention now. The players, the players are doing all the work, right? The coaches are working like they're telling the players what to do, kind of like on a plantation. The overseer and the massa would tell the slaves what to do, but we know the slaves are doing the work, not the massa, right? So on these, on these, football teams, the coach, that is the massa, that is the overseer. The NCAA, some people say it's slavery. I don't really think it's slavery. Slavery kind of means you're forced to do it. They're not forced to do it. They can do something else. I would almost compare it to like sharecropping, right? And we know sharecropping was pretty exploitative too, right? Or I would maybe you can even, like it's like a hybrid between somewhere in the middle between slavery and like the prison industrial complex and some, just these exploitative institutions that you have in America where Black people are making all the contributions and white people are getting all the benefits. Now Queen Kyra, it's so funny. She says, I'm idolizing these Chinese colonizers. Girl, please get the hell out of that stupid stuff. Let me just block your ass. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna block her. She can stay. Okay. Anyway, so here's the point. Let me make this clear. When I tell you guys about what the Chinese are doing to kick your ass economically, it's not because I'm idolizing them. It's because if you're smart, you learn from people who are winning. You learn from people who are getting ahead of you. So Powernomics, if you notice, if you read Dr. Claude Anderson's Powernomics books, which I'm sure the sister never read, you will know that in that book, Dr. Anderson goes into explicit detail of how white people established economic dominance over Black people. So you can understand the game, so you can flip that on its head. If you ever played sports, you know that, in a sport, if you go out and a team kicks your ass and beat you by 75 points, the smartest thing for you to do is to study how they beat you so you can cover up that weakness, and you can also figure out how to use their strategies against them, right? So that's the point. That's where you want to go with that, okay? So I'm sure Queen Kyra is going to keep on, trolling. So you keep being a troll. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. But anyway, let's get back to the NCAA thing. So with the NCAA thing, you have this scenario again where athletes are getting scholarships, coaches are getting financial perks. They're getting millions of dollars. They're getting all this, all these other benefits economically for their participation, even though they're not doing the work. Now, again, if the situation were fair, then you should be able to allow them to switch sides. You should take the coach's salary, divide it up amongst the players, and then tell the players, like, hey, we're taking away your scholarship, but we're going to give you, a $500,000 a year salary instead. We're taking away your scholarship, but because you're the star, we're going to give you $1.8 million a year, and you're going to be cursed, though, with the difficult challenge of paying your own tuition. My God, how will you survive? You're only making $1.8 million a year. It's amazing. And then you go to the coaches and you say, instead of your, $5 million a year salary, we're going to give you free tuition. We're going to let you and your children and your girlfriend, your mom, your wife, your baby's mama, your husband, all of them can go to college for free, but we're going to take away your $5 million a year salary. How do you think that will fly over with them? What do you think their response will be? Their response would be, fuck you, right? The response would be like, what are you talking about? Like, no, that's wrong, by God. That's unfair. That's so gosh darn un-American, right? You don't treat the human beings that way, right? They would call it a travesty of justice. And so anyway, with that said, I think that as this brother's saying, who is it, TJ? Thank you for TJ saying that. Jason Whitlock and I actually are connected. He says that we should connect with Jason Whitlock. Oh, TJ says Jason Whitlock is a sellout. You know what? Jason Whitlock is interesting. Oh, M Light is saying I should link up with Jason Whitlock. Jason and I are friends, but Jason is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Jason and I do not see eye to eye on a lot of issues. The reason Jason reaches out to me usually is to tell me where I'm wrong about something. But the thing about it is that I don't have big issues with Jason because I believe Jason, in his own way, feels that he's helping the Black community with his perspective. Again, if he did not care about Black people, I don't even think he would even address some of these issues. He wouldn't even try to change my opinion. He would just say, whatever, just shut up, you stupid idiot. But he'll call me. He called me when I was in Guyana on a personal one-on-one phone call and was like, I think you're wrong about this. I don't agree with you on that. And I was like, well, I don't agree with you on this, but I agree. I can hear what you're saying on this, but on this, I think that, we just have to agree to disagree. And that's really how you're supposed to have debates. That's how you're supposed to have conversations. It shouldn't come down to you disagree with me, I hate you. Now, it takes time to get to that point. It's hard to do that, especially when you're young, because when you're young, you have a lot of ego. And ego causes us to, react in ways that are not rational. And so when Jason and I were younger, my first article about Jason, in the article, I referred to him as Fat Bastard. You remember Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movies? And I talked about him like a dog, like a complete dog. And I still don't agree with him. Sometimes he says stuff, I'm like, man, what are you talking about? But through time, you kind of learn that you don't have to take everything so personal. I don't have to get offended because you disagree with me. And really, if I'm smart, I'm going to learn from a point of view that's different from mine. You don't grow if all you do is hold on to your own simple beliefs. You become no different from these toothless, ignorant ass rednecks that just want to believe one thing about Black people and they can't ever be changed or evolved. They don't grow in their thinking. So I personally think overall, I think there should be space for debate, space for conversations to be had. And then, you're not really going to change somebody's opinion by arguing with them all day most of the time. The best you're going to get is to have them hear your point of view. So like when my boy called me, DeMario, and he said, hey, Doc, I don't think that what you're saying about voting is correct. And let me tell you why. I hope you'll consider this, and this. And I heard him out and I said, okay, well, one area I'm at to agree to disagree with you on is I can't support the Democrats because I can't support people that will get behind the Me Too movement, because the Me Too movement is the biggest threat to Black male safety that I've seen in the last 50 years. When you're sending people to prison with no evidence, I said, tell me about the Bill Cosby trial. I said, you're a lawyer, you're a civil rights lawyer. I said, what? Now we know Bill Cosby probably wasn't a good guy. We know that he was out there doing whatever. I said, but tell me, what evidence did they have? Like, am I missing something? It seemed like they had no evidence. He said, no, they didn't have a case. He said they had no evidence. He said that he said they had that one statement he made about giving drugs to women to have sex with them, But I said, but did he say that he gave them to them involuntarily? And he said, no. And I said, yeah, and a bunch of those women were drug addicts. So of course he gave them drugs. Drug addicts want drugs. They asked for them. So I don't understand how they can send him to prison. And I said, this is like Nazi Germany all over again. You don't just decide you think somebody's a bad person and then go send them to prison like that. That's crazy to me. So anyway, digging a little deeper, let's go back to the NCAA thing. So I dug up some numbers that I would share with you guys. By the way, I go live at drboystv.com about every day at 2 p.m. Eastern. Today I was a few minutes late. I had a meeting, but most of the time I'm gonna try to make the 2 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you subscribe at drboystv.com. If you're on drboystv.com, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and the like and the share button and all that good stuff. Also, if you want to get a text alert for when I go live, just text the word voice, my name Boyce, to 31996. Somebody please type that in. Text Boyce to 31996. Now, here are some of the coaches' salaries in the NCAA. I'm just going to start like top 5, top 10. But literally, here the crazy thing is that the 25th highest paid coach in college football is Jim Mora. Jim Mora is the 25th highest paid coach in college football. So he's not even in the top 5, top 10. None. Jim Mora is number 25 on the list. Now I want y'all to guess, how much money do you think? Don't Google it. Please don't Google it. Don't be cheating and stuff. Guess how much you think Jim Mora is earning per year. I'm gonna give you a second to try to guess that. While you do that, if you're not guessing, like text Boyce to 31996 so you can be in the flow. And in fact, while you guys give me the guesses, I'll answer one of the questions. I see somebody's asking, what do I think about the New World Order? George Bush, I think, was the first person to start using that term. I don't think he meant it as sinister as it's been interpreted to this point. I think that obviously there's always a conspiracy for rich and powerful people to control the world. Does it involve like Illuminati and stuff like that? I don't know. I have to see evidence, but anything's possible. Okay. Let's see. I see Ronald says 250K. Bagley says Jim Mora was fired last year. So maybe I got the article in 2017. Jamar Thomas says 10 million. Martin Sterling says 1 million. Let's see here. Lucy Diamond says 1 million. Bronx Surfer says 10 million. Kleck 17 says 4 million. Kleck 17, you're actually the closest. You and Martell McCoy. The number is actually 3.6 million. $3.6 million. So 3.6 million. What is that per month? Is that what, $300,000 a month? So he makes $300,000 a month to coach the UCLA football team. And UCLA is a notoriously racist school. They will gladly admit Negroes if they have a no Negro admissions policy, apparently. I've dealt with UCLA. I had a real crazy situation where some of the Black alumni had invited me to speak. And then Angela Rye, that lady from CNN who whines about Donald Trump all the time, apparently she got upset and said, if he comes, I'm not bringing Common. And next thing you know, because Common the rapper was supposed to be there too. And next thing you know, I get there and everything's, I'm canceled and all this. And it kind of annoyed me, not because I care about speaking at UCLA, but because, I don't like people wasting my time. If you don't want to talk to me, just don't come. Like, don't call me. Like, don't call me and then not call me. Like, that's a punk bitch move. But anyway, so UCLA, though, is an interesting school as well for racism reasons. They've been called out for the fact that they do not admit Black males. Their no Negro admissions policy, it only applies if you cannot dribble a basketball or throw a football. Now, if you can dribble a basketball or throw a football, then, then they love you. Then you're the greatest. You're like ready for the minstrel show. They want you out there on the football field, get you some good brain damage so that all the classes you learn are like out of your brain. Because by the way, so football really does fuck up your brain. Just so you know, I talked to my homeboy who literally played D1 college football at a major university. Today, he said, I just tell people, do not let your sons play football. He said, it's like telling your kids to smoke. He said, you may not get lung cancer, but your odds are much, much higher. He said, I love football. I love watching Saturday football, Sunday football. He said, I played football at the highest level. He said, but I do not recommend it. So anyway, so they'll gladly bring in Negroes to UCLA who are willing to go out on the field and get brain damage. But if you are a Black person who wants to go to UCLA to study biology, mathematics, business, or be a professor, then they don't have any use for you. So basically, you and I are pretty much, we're just commodities to schools like UCLA. Like but they kind of do this everywhere. I mean, if you don't challenge it, then it's going to always happen, right? So you have to challenge it. If you can't challenge it, then, then they're going to keep doing it, right? Like, I mean, you're again, you fuel America, you fuel the wealth of other people. And so if you don't speak up on, become aware of it, stand up against it, then it won't matter. That's why I would love for guys like Colin Kaepernick and these high-powered athletes who are in the pros, who are making all this money, to, do something about it, like help with a lawsuit, draw awareness to the issue. LeBron, I give LeBron so much credit because he made this documentary that's on HBO or whatever about the exploitation. I would love, I think just at a basic level, I would love for Colin Kaepernick to simply show continuous support for LeBron's documentary and show continuous support for the men and women who are affected, right? That's it. Like, just, I'm not talking about like one little retweet like that. Like Colin is an enigma to me. Like, it's almost like there's a part of him that's very heroic and very, intriguing, as a public figure. But then there's a part of me that sees like almost like politician or something. Like, I follow him on Twitter, and I'm watching his Twitter feed, and most of his stuff is either a retweet of somebody else, or he's tweeting like, buy my new t-shirt, buy my new Nike product, which is fine. I mean, we know you got to make your money, you got to pay your bills, but I'm not really seeing anything that's really saying that he's really ready to get his hands dirty. In this country, as divisive as this country is, if you're really out here fighting, for Black people, you're gonna probably end up, having people kind of try to smear your name and stuff like that. And I think Colin, while there are people that just don't like him just because he took the knee at the football games, I think there are a lot of people who kind of feel like, Colin might be a little soft in terms of really getting out there and getting into the fight. Like a Muhammad Ali kind of guy. Muhammad Ali was a guy who was like, I don't care if I have a Nike deal. I don't care how much money I have. I don't care if I'm the heavyweight champion. I'm going to get out here and I'm going to really get in it, get in the battle all the time, no matter what, no holds barred. Whereas, I think that, with Colin, I'm not really seeing anything that's inspirational. I see, follow-ups on the Take a Knee campaign, with Eric Reed. He retweets a lot of stuff from Eric Reed, his friend that plays football. He also, I saw him tweeting, there's a guy with left, there's some guy whose Twitter account that has the word left in it, and he retweets him a lot. And the tweets are thoughtful. They're compelling, thoughtful tweets. So it's not like he's a sellout or Uncle Tom. I'm not saying that. But I would say that it's like you have Black people that believe something and are very vocal about it and will go out and get dirty and lose a job over it and really go through shit. And then you got Black people that will sort of quietly believe something and will quietly agree with you and will subtly endorse something, but not to the point where they're going to get in trouble with the white people who help pay their bills. So I would love to kind of get a sense of why Colin is not really out there like that, because I think a lot of people really look to him and look up to him. And I just think that there are other activists that I can really vibe with a little more. Like, for example, Sean King. I think Sean King, he's more part of the liberal establishment, like, so he's got a lot of that white support as well. But Sean King seems like a guy that's just pretty honest and pretty active and pretty involved and really is in it. You know what I mean? So I think that on this issue, when it comes to athletes and their families, especially the way this impacts the Black community to the tune of billions of dollars being stolen from Black people every year, I think that professional athletes should form a unified front. I think that they should all get with LeBron and say, yo, hey man, we're all gonna hold a big conference to talk about the fact that the NCAA is screwing these young guys. We need to get labor rights for these people. Like Colin wears a shirt that says, I know my rights. Well, we all know that athletes should have labor rights, which means that they should be treated as employees, which is what they are. They work harder than the coaches. Why aren't they getting the treatment, the employee treatment that everybody else gets in America? Well, the reason their rights are violated is because they're Black. And again, this is at least $1 billion a year wealth transfer from the Black community. Now, some people say that Colin's going through his lawsuit, and that might be why he's quiet. And that might be a logical answer, but it's still kind of like we all got excuses for being silent. Most people I know who believe in something, they don't they'll always have a reason. Like there's always a reason. Like, oh well, I would stand, like when I was at Syracuse and I was speaking up on the racism at Syracuse University in terms of how they don't hire black people and stuff like that, or don't promote them very often. I had a lot of people that said, I really agree with you. Everything you said in that meeting was on point. And I'll be like, well, why didn't you say anything? Well, I would, but I'm trying to get tenure. Or well, I would, but I'm trying to get this promotion. Or well, I would, but I'm trying to keep my job. Well, I would, but I got kids and I gotta pay for my kids. Stuff like that, right? And it's fine to a point, but I think that it's like everybody's got an excuse. Everybody. I mean, who's gonna make the sacrifice? Somebody has to make the sacrifice. So anyway, I think that a unified front by professional athletes would go a long way in helping deal with this NCAA sharecropping situation. Now, I'm going to go down the list further. Well, let's get down to the top 10. And this is just college football, the same basketball. Let's see. When I look at number 10 on the list is Kevin Sumlin, who is the head coach at Texas A&M. Now, he's not even white. But it looks like he makes $5 million a year. Every now and then they have a black coach, in there. It's not only white people, but it's mostly white, right? Most of the people that get the jobs at the institutions are white. There are a lot of, athletes that will go to these institutions, serve them damn near to the death, give everything to the institution. And in their mind, they're misled into believing that because they loved you when you were playing the sport, that they're going to love you after the sport is over, that they're going to love you enough that you can just come back and, oh yeah, I know those people up down there. I won a championship with them. I can always get a job there. Yeah, they might make you like, the graduate assistant coach for wide receivers or something, or maybe help you become the assistant running backs coach or something, but they're never going to make you the head coach. The head coach is, most of you, not everybody, but the head coaching position is kind of like the big throne. And typically when the big white institution chooses who's going to sit on the big throne, they're usually going to pick another white person. They might do that with it. They might let a black person do it. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have black head coaches out here. That we do. We have a few, but usually the lion's share of the wealth that comes into college sports is going to go in the hands of white men. That's kind of the way it's designed. And the question is, can you blame them? Can you blame them? Imagine a black man, me and you and 10 other people got together and formed a great institution for black men. By black men that represents black people, and then some other people from white, Asian, Jewish, whatever, wanted to serve as our pawns where we could use them to make money. Do you think that they would ever get the lion's share of what we built? No, we wouldn't do that. We would want the lion's share. We might share a little bit. We might, pass out a little bit of something to keep people motivated. But the lion's share of the wealth is going to come back to me and my family and me and my community. It's going to come back to people that look like me, so I don't even think, that the racism here is something to necessarily be offended by as much as it is something to be aware of and to process. This is an insult to you. You should be as offended by this as you would be if you had a basketball team and your team was losing by 60 points. Are you pissed? Yes, you should be pissed. If you're not pissed, then you're a loser. You're a fucking loser. Seriously. Your team's getting its ass kicked every time they dribble down the court, the full court press, they steal the ball, they dunking on you, putting testicles in your face. You should be really pissed. You should be humiliated because your mama's in the stands and you're looking like a jackass right now, right? So you should be humiliated, embarrassed, upset, and everything else. But while you're upset about, the fact that you're losing, that's different from being mad at them for taking the trophy home to their family. Like you ain't mad at them too much. You understand, they're not taking this trophy because they're bad people. They're taking it because they practice harder than you and they whooped your ass. They have better talent. They prepared better than you. And you're like, yeah, if I was in their position, I'd probably take home the trophy too. So then at that point, so being offended is not the same as sort of being hurt that somehow they let you down because you thought they were going to give you free points and they didn't give you anything, right? Like that's not a competitor's mindset. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think that for black people, we don't look at it in that way where we say, look, I'm mad that we're losing, but I'm not mad at you for taking what you're going to get. I'm just going to figure the game out so we can get what we get. right? We're not thinking about it that way. The way we think about it is, oh, that's so unfair. Oh, they're so mean to us. White people are so bad. Like this is terrible. Like if we were in power like them, we wouldn't control the resources and keep the money for ourselves. That's so unfair. We're supposed to have equality in America, and you're supposed to give it to us. And y'all promised us equality, and you didn't deliver. So that's mean. That you hurt my feelings, and I'm just gonna go cry and pray to white Jesus, and I'm gonna go vote and put a Democrat in office, and he's going to take it all away and give it back to us. Like that's kind of a wimpy sort of reaction. It's a reaction that doesn't add up or make any sense, and it's one that's going to kind of have you looking sort of silly, because did you know this? Check this out. When I was reading and researching, like how China established economic dominance, I became obsessed with what was going on in China because I just was like, wow, they really practice powernomics there, more so than any country in the world that I've seen. I'm going to go to other places, like I'm going to go to Ghana next spring and stuff like that. But when I look at powernomics, I see China going to these places and just really making the situation favorable for their people. Did you know that one of the strategies that they wanted to use in their goal of replacing the U.S. In economic and political dominance was to make the U.S. Complacent, to catch them off their guard, to make them not believe that they were actually trying to compete with them. Like they're literally, I read this and I was so fascinated by this. They said that part of their plan was to convince the U.S. that there was no plan. That, oh, we just China, we just little China here. We just want everybody to get along. They wanted to give that impression so that the U.S. wouldn't be on high alert and saying, okay, we got to compete with these people. And I see white people do the same thing with black people. That's what they do to you. They come to you with this kumbaya bullshit. Like, oh, well, why would you want to compete with us? We're not competing. We're all on the same team here, buddy. We're all supposed to share. I don't even see color. I'm colorblind. Race means nothing to me. Like, so if you talk about race, you're a racist. And why would you want to create a special business or a special part of the city just for black people? Like, that's not American. Like, that's exclusionary. That's wrong. You can't do that. Like they kind of like put this image out there that they want equality and fairness for everyone. And so you buy into that bullshit and let your guard down and stop competing. And then they take all of your shit and you're confused. You're like, like Scooby-Doo. You're like, wait, what happened? Like, how come every time the dust settles and the smoke clears, we end up in last place? Like, how come every time we all get pumped up, we all rock the vote, hope and change, we showing up at the polls, souls to the polls, y'all, and we all going out voting and putting the candidate in office, and we all excited, like, oh Lord Jesus, we got a black president. like we're all emotional, like we really feel like we accomplished something. And then we look up 4 years later, and we're like, our community is exactly the same as it was before the election took place. Like, nothing has changed. Did y'all forget? Hey, y'all, I think y'all, you know what it reminds me of? It makes me, I'm gonna tell you. I wish I could tell y'all who this story is about, but I don't want to get nobody in trouble. But somebody told me a story about a very prominent black scholar. And this scholar ran a department on campus. It was Africana Studies, right? And this guy, he gets ahead by through integration. White people love him and he does well. Like getting white people to like you is really gonna like put you ahead. So like, don't hang out with me because they won't like you, and then you're gonna be in the dumpster with the rest of us. But I just like living out here. I like being out in the forest. I don't want to be part of that stuff. So anyway, so he was running this department, and the department was getting a lot of money, a lot of resources, and they were getting a lot of publicity. They were on the university's website, just all kinds of stuff. And the new president came in, and the new president was kind of a racist. The new president of the university, his position was like, No, like he was conservative. He was like, I believe that the Africana Studies Department has gotten too much attention. That does not represent this institution. That's not even real scholarship. I have no respect for it. So here's what he did. Check this out. This guy had a meeting with every single head of every single department on the campus to introduce himself. The only department he skipped was Africana Studies. The only department, he met every single department head on the entire campus, and the only one he skipped was Africana Studies, right? So this Negro who runs the Africana Studies department, he was like, he emails the president, and he's like, now the faculty, the other people around, they get the memo. They're like, oh, this is an outrage. This is so disrespectful. Like, how the hell could he do this? Blah, blah, blah. This Negro like emails the president. He's like, sir, I think that there was a mistake. You interviewed every department on campus, but you never came to our department. So this was clearly an oversight. And so I don't think that this was intentional, but I just wanted to let you know that this, was going on. And the president wrote back, and the president was like, no, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an oversight. So he's basically saying, no, you think I'm thinking that I'm calling you a nigger. I am. Yeah, let's just be clear. I have no interest in supporting anything that you're doing, right? And that's what it kind of makes me think about when I think about Black folks who are delusional to the competition that's all around them. When you don't understand the fact that people are competing with you, people are trying to take from you, people are at war with you, people are trying to destroy you, then you just end up confused. Like you literally just are like a guy who is sitting there with a pocket full of money, and you think you're sitting with three friends, and all three of the friends have rigged the whole situation against you. They gonna rob you, they pick in your pocket, you all in the same poker game, they have colluded to make sure that they get your money. They've done all these things, and you don't understand, like, oh, by golly, I must just be having bad luck today. I don't know why I keep losing. Well, it's because they rigged the game against you. And so for Black people, and then when the person is asked, he might be like, well, it seems to me that something might be amiss here. Something seems awry. It seems like you all have done something unethical. They're like, oh no, what are you talking about? No, we're buddies. Like, what? Why would you say that? Like, that's so offensive for you to say that. And if you believe that stuff, then you're gonna get took. So I think for Black people, I think that we are often not always aware of how these games are played. Like, for example, we think that politics is a voting game. You think politics is run by votes. That is just not proven by the results. The electoral college, number one, that runs everything, but then the lobbyists, the economics is what drives American politics. It ain't the votes. You get the votes after you've got the economic base. So a lot of times, if I had a choice between having like a lot of votes in America versus having like $10 billion worth of super PACs, and controlling like a major media outlet, oh, I would absolutely take the media outlet and the super PACs over the votes. And if you don't understand it, some people it might be over your head. I encourage you, go read books like Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth. I don't have it in front of me. Read books like that, and it will break it down for you to help you understand it. This is not an argument. One of the conversations I had with my friend today was, he said, sometimes it almost seems like a curse when you know too much, when you figure certain things out, when you've read too many books, when you have too much education, because you'll bring these ideas to people and people will be like, oh, that's just stupid. That just doesn't make any sense. But it'll be coming from somebody who literally, might have a GED or 2 years of college. And if you are if you're like, well, I got my PhD 18 years ago, and since that time, I've read about 1,000 books. You're just in a different space. You see things in a different way, so you can relate to them, but they can't always relate to where you're coming from with that. And so, in a way, it doesn't require. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not a person to say I'm always right about everything. I'm not saying that you should just hear what I say and just assume that it's gospel. I'm saying that you should consider that perspective, because the current perspective that we've been leaning on has not worked. It has not been accurate. So, with that said, take 1 second. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button real quick. Make sure you hit, you're connected and you spread the video. Also, if you want to join our League of Intelligent Black People, feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. It's sort of a special group where you can get special access, and we have private conversations, and you get to decide what topics I'm going to cover. You get to ask questions, and I'll answer your questions on the air, stuff like that. In exchange, we ask you, to support the channel, but it's literally, you can support it like $5 a month. But if you really love it though, and you really got it like that, $50 a month is great too, to help us pay some bills so that we can be independent and do our thing. But we give more stuff based on how much you support the channel, but it's totally up to you. What I typically ask people is I say, look, I know you're gonna spend money with white folks. So if you take the amount that you spend with white folks, just divide that by like 50. And that little bit that's left, like, use that to support what we're doing, because everything that we get, every penny we get, goes right back into the Black community. So that's different from Applebee's or Walmart or Popeye's Chicken. They're not putting the money back in your community. We are. So feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. Somebody please type that in, intelligentblackpeople.com. All right, so let me go here and take and just sort of cap off this list of highest paid coaches. So the numbers get bigger and bigger as you go further down. You have the coach Jimbo Fisher at Florida State. I think Jimbo. I keep thinking Jimbo Fisher left though. I don't know why. But anyway, he makes $5.7 million. He won't be making that for long because Florida State sucks. You have let's see, number 3 is Jim Harbaugh, who makes $7 million a year. So that's about a little more than $500,000, about $530,000 a month. Let's see, of Harbaugh's salary, $2 million a year is in the form of an insurance premium payment by the school on a life insurance policy in his name. The school gets its money back without interest when Harbaugh dies. However, the death benefit is estimated to be worth at least $20 million to his family. So his family's going to get $20 million if he dies, and he gets $7 million a year. Number 2 is Dabo Swinney, who coaches at Clemson. Clemson's a pretty good team. But again, $8.5 million. If you were to spread that amongst the players, at least the best players on the team, maybe the top 30, they could probably change the lives of their family members. But instead, many of them are going to put money in his pocket, but not their own. And I think that that's kind of atrocious. And then number 1 on the list is Nick Saban, who makes $11.1 million a year, which is almost $1 million a month. And he gets that basically for recruiting the best Negroes and getting them on the field and getting them to risk their lives for the sake of Alabama football, when unfortunately many of these guys graduate from Alabama without even knowing how to spell the word Alabama. And many of them end up not doing very much with their lives, largely because they spent most of their time in college not studying, but preparing to make money for massa. So basically that's what it is. It's not, a matter of making fun of the guys that want to play sports. I think sports is fine. It's fun. I love sports. I played all the sports. I was a good athlete when I was a kid. But I think that you can learn a lot from sports about life. I think sports teaches you a lot about, like how to succeed in this country. Everything. In fact, when I was in college, I was the number 1 student on campus, number 1 Black student on campus. I had the highest grade point average, and I was the best finance student. And the reason I did so well was because I took what I learned from sports and I applied it to academics. All I did was I said, well, if I can be great at a sport by working hard every day and being consistent and working harder than the next person, then that should apply to anything I do. So I literally was successful in life by taking lessons I learned from sports and applying them to life. So I don't understand why a guy can be a great football or basketball player, but not be successful at everything, because the amount of mental toughness it takes to succeed in life is replicated by what it takes to go out on the football field and take these hits and go in the sun, in the summertime, 100-degree heat, doing 2-a-day practices, running till you throw up. That takes a lot of focus, a lot of discipline. And I think that if you take that same discipline, you can apply that to anything. If we worked as hard as Black men and Black people and Black women, if we worked as hard at, forming great businesses as we work at playing great sports, we would be the best on earth. We would be the absolute best on earth. If we worked as hard at investing, as in learning how to invest and learning, financial literacy, as we work at entertaining white people, singing, dancing, all this other stuff that we do, we will be the best in the world at that. So what I would just say is, if you're going to do sports, make sure it works for you. Don't let your child ever think that all they are is a great athlete. A lot of guys end up in a situation where they prepare themselves for massa. They prepare themselves for these universities that are not going to pay them. They feel in their head that all they're meant to do is be an athlete. And then what happens is the universities take them in and they use them up and they spit them out back into the street. And when the guys get spit out, they say, my God, all I know how to do is play football. All I know is being a quarterback. All I know is or being a wide receiver, whatever. And when they get out there and they find that in the real world, the fame disappears. All the girls that used to like them, they don't like them anymore. All the status they had, they never had any money because the university was keeping all the money. They were getting robbed in college, but all the status they had is gone. And what happens is they become depressed, especially the ones who don't have anything else that they can do, anything else they've ever felt they could do. And so some of them actually, especially the ones that have the brain damage from getting hit in the head and all that stuff, many of them have killed themselves. Many of them have committed suicide because they feel that they have no value after white folks have finished using them up for sports. In their mind, they had no other plan. They were like, well, I'm going to go play at the University of Iowa and then go to the NFL, because you got to be really good to play at the University of Iowa. Average football players don't get to go to the University of Iowa. But when you look at the percentages that actually make it to the pros, it's a very small percentage. And even the guys who do make it to the pros don't stay very long. NFL, the average NFL career is less than 3 years. I think about 2.5 years, something like that. So NFL does not stand for National Football League. It stands for not for long, not for long. So anyway, Martell says, come on, Doc, she's an agent and a troll and doesn't belong here. Yeah, I know that Queen Kyra is an agent, but I can't delete her from here. So I say just ignore her. Let her do what she's gonna do. Or him or whatever. It's probably some fat white guy who like made up some name or whatever. But anyway, so what I would say is that, at the end of the day, if we're gonna have our kids playing sports, we must think of it as not us giving our children over to these sports. We're loaning our children to these sports. We're loaning our children to these sports. And that means, look, you can borrow my son, to play football or whatever, but we're going to as soon as the loan is up, we're going to bring him back. We got other things for him. We need him in the community. We need him to be a father one day. We need him to be a husband to a great Black woman one day. Maybe he's going to be a scholar one day. Maybe he's going to be a carpenter one day. Maybe he's going to be a business owner one day. But we need him. We don't want him to be just used up and made worthless. Like a KFC chicken, that gets raised on the farm, and then they find out the chicken's bad and they can't even eat it, so they throw it out in the trash. No. That chicken had a life. They could have went beyond just being ready to be fed, to people in a KFC restaurant. So your kids, they may love sports. Little Black boys love basketball and football, but they must be taught. It must be forced down their throat that you are more than just an athlete. Be an athlete, do that. But beyond that, understand these athletic skills are a stepping stone to greatness in other areas. If you simply take the hard work that you put into playing a sport and you apply that to business, you can go make more money as a business owner than you could have made as an athlete. If you take the hard work that you put into playing a sport and you apply that to learning medicine, you could be the best doctor in this country, because the amount of time that you spent on the football field, if you spend that much time in a book, you're going to be the top student in the class, right? The amount of energy that you put into being the best basketball player that you could be, if you took that energy and put it into being a great plumber or great carpenter or a great business owner or investor, or put that time into learning real estate, you will be the best real estate person ever. Because anybody who knows anything about sports knows that you can't play sports at the level of top-notch Black males without being like a really hard worker. Those guys work so hard to be that good. So just take that hard work and understand a big part of the reason our community loses is because most of our hard work is used to put money in somebody else's pocket. So in the NCAA is a perfect example. If I could get these guys' attention for 10 seconds, I would tell them, just don't play, don't show up. But of course, they're not going to listen. They're young, whatever. That's why I put it upon, and this is my closing point on this. I put it upon the older athletes, the guys that made it to the pros, they got some money, they ain't got nothing to lose at this point. You're Chris Paul, you're 30-something years old, you're about to retire. You got $100 million in the bank. Write a $2 million check to file a fucking lawsuit against these motherfuckers who are robbing the black community. Seriously, like call up LeBron, call up Colin Kaepernick, who's got millions of dollars coming from Nike and the lawsuit and everything else. Get 20 athletes who each put up $2 million a piece to fight this issue. And now you've got enough money to pay the best law firm in America to go and sue the shit out of these slave holders, these fucking overseers, and make things right. You gotta be willing, you gotta be ready to fight. If anybody understands this, it should be an athlete. Athletes are only second to soldiers when it comes to understanding what it means to go to battle. Soldiers are number one. I have a lot of soldiers that follow me, and every one of you who's following me, shout yourself out, please. If you're a soldier, you serve, say something. I want to say thank you for your service, because I have a lot of respect for soldiers. Even if you fought in a dirty war or a bad war, it don't mean you're a dirty person or a bad person to me. I respect soldiers because soldiers have a special skill, special set mindset that I think allows them to achieve goals and to accomplish missions and to follow a strategy. I think that's why a lot of soldiers follow me, is because because that's the mindset that I was given by my father, who went to the Vietnam War. It's like, oh, fuck the bullshit. Stop being a bitch. Stop being scared. Stop thinking somebody's going to hand you something. Stop thinking people are going to feel sorry for you. Stop thinking that eventually the world's going to open up and just be polite to you. The world ain't polite. The world is dog eat dog. And it's basically fuck black people until black people show that they can give a fuck about themselves. So when you got these young athletes out here and their families, and they're up here struggling, starving to death, homeless, can't pay the rent, can't get by, whatever, and these damn coaches are making $5, $6, $10 million a year off of our kids, out of our community, you should be in soldier mindset saying, we're going to do whatever it takes to stop this shit. LeBron took that first step by making the documentary. Now let's take the next step by writing some checks. I'll write a damn check. I'll write a check. I'll jump in. I don't have Chris Paul type money or Colin Kaepernick type money, but I'll jump in. Whatever I can do, I will help with that. But we got to fight this stuff, because if we don't stand up for ourselves, then you can't blame anybody for taking advantage of you. When you lay down, people will step on you. That's kind of how the way the world works. All right, I'm done. Hit the thumbs up button on YouTube before you go. Please take a second to do that. Hit the share button, like button, subscribe button, all those things. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can get a free e-copy of that book by going to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. I encourage you guys also, feel free, if you want to learn investing, I teach a stock market class in the Black Business School. The stock market is what I wrote my dissertation on. So I know that stuff extremely, extremely well. I've taught college students for 25 years. So I know when I talk about universities, I know them from a personal experience, not speculation. I was right there in the trenches with these guys. So anyway, you can do a 30-day free trial, 30 days totally free, won't cost you anything, by going to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Also, VJ Polo says he can't register for my teaching tonight from China. Try going to blackdragonfinance.com. I'm giving that lecture tonight on Chinese powernomics and how it can be applied to Black families. So go to blackdragonfinance.com. The lecture is called Return of the Black Dragon, How Chinese Powernomics Principles Can Be Applied to Black Families, free to the public. I don't know why you can't get in, but try going to blackdragonfinance.com. I know in China they do block things like Facebook and stuff like that, but you're on Facebook, so I don't know what that means exactly. But anyway, I can only get on, when I was in China, actually Google, Facebook, Gmail, all that was blocked. I can only get on it through my Verizon plan. So anyway, the lecture happens tonight, the 27th of October. After that, I will house it within theblackstockmarketprogram.com. So you can watch the recording there, share it with your family, bring your wife, bring your kids. I personally think that that we are onto something. I think that there are things that I can break down for you that will change your life. I have complete confidence in that, and I've done it before. I've done it a million times, and I'm gonna do it again tonight. So take care, guys. I love you, and I wish you the very best, and I appreciate all your love and support. And thank you for dealing with crazy ass Negroes like me. I'll see you soon. Be good.